positions of the Sahaba, the Tabi'een, right? In the year 705, my brothers and my sisters, he was put to trial. And the reason why he was put to trial is because of a book that he authored called Al-Hamawiyah, which is a very well-known book in Aqidah. Right? Al-Hamawiyah by Shaykh al-Islam ibn Taimiyah rahmatullahi alayhi. That speaks about the names and attributes of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and how to navigate around it. Should we affirm it? Should we explain it away? And so on and so forth. They began to accuse him of all sorts of things. One of the things they accused him of was, he's saying that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala speaks. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is above his throne. As if to say, my brothers and my sisters, that this is something that is deviated. Right? And they gave him a very, very hard time for it. This is belief. Why can't he have a belief that he believes is in line with what Allah Azza wa Jal and His Messenger sallallahu alayhi wa sallam said? Right? So what did they do? They threw him into prison. Now before that, my brothers and my sisters, when he was put on trial, they came to him and they tried to debate him about that which is correct and that which isn't. Right? Ibn Taymiyah, being who he was, the knowledgeable Shaykh al-Islam, they failed to overpower him. They failed to convince the people who are listening that what he actually has said is wrong. Are you brothers and sisters with me? Right? Whenever there's an issue that you accuse another individual of, it's important that you maybe, right, go to that individual, try to find his perspective on it. Right? They tried to understand where he was coming from, and he gave all of the evidences. In fact, he said to them, you're asking me now to write down my belief, right? I've already written on it. And that which you already wrote in the past was the book called Aqidatul Wasitiyah. Because if I write something down now, you might say to me that I'm bringing something, right, just to protect my life or to save myself from imprisonment. So let's just take the book that I previously wrote. Here it is. 3 days they're going through it, going back and forth with Ibn Taymiyah rahmatullahi alayhi, and they failed to come with any convincing arguments. Because whenever they would say, okay, this is wrong, he would say to them, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, he said X, Y, and Z in the Quran. Ar-Rahmanu ala al-Arsh istawa. Right? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala rose above the throne. Right? When they say, how can you say that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala speaks? He would quote to them the qissa of Musa alayhi salatu wasalam, when Allah Azza wa Jal called out to him, وَإِنْ أَحَدٌ مِّنَ الْمُشْرِكِينَ اسْتَجَارَكَ فَأَجِرْهُ حَتَّى يَسْمَعَ كَلَامَ اللَّهِ. And all of these verses, in a manner that suits His Majesty. Right? This might sound a little bit like an Aqidah class, my brothers and my sisters. Right? But all of that which Shaykh al-Islam Taimiyah rahmatullahi alayhi wrote in the book, he would always substantiate it and back it up with verses from the Quran and a hadith of the Prophet sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. He wouldn't be bringing anything from his own back pocket. So much so that he once mentioned, ما جمعت إلا عقيدة السلف الصالح جميعهم ليس للإمام أحمد اختصاص بهذا. Everything that I've now collected, it is the position of the righteous predecessors. And it is not specific to Imam Ahmad rahmatullahi alayhi. والإمام أحمد إنما هو مبلغ العلم الذي جاء به النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم. Imam Ahmad, he's just someone that conveys whatever the Messenger صلى الله عليه وسلم came with. Right? Isn't everyone entitled to believe that which they see to be correct? So why are they punishing Ibn Taymiyah rahmatullahi alayhi? Right? So, because they couldn't take the fact that he overpowered them in the munadarat, in these debates that were happening, they eventually, my brothers and my sisters, threw him into prison. And you know when all of this was actually taking place? Last 10 nights of Ramadan. When the Muslims should actually be busy worshipping Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, fasting in the day, praying in the night. أَشْغَلُوهُ بِهَذَا. Right? What you can, subhanAllah, gather from the life of Ibn Taymiyyah is that he loved to be alone with Allah. Right? He really loved to worship Allah Azza wa Jal. You read it and you walk away thinking to yourself, subhanAllah. Right? He must have tasted the sweetness of worship. In order for him to be like that, let me go and taste the sweetness of worship as well. The greatest nights of the year, the last 10 nights, where everyone wants to be alone, even the sinner wants to what? Get closer to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. This is what they took away from them. You may think that this is not a big deal, missing out on the last 10 nights, but anyone who knows, right? It comes with a sweetness that you cannot put into words, right? So what happens, my brothers and my sisters? He walks into the courtroom, right? And guess who's actually meant to be judging him? Judge, jury, prosecutor, right? That's what you guys say. One of his opponents called Ibn Makhluf. We said we would speak about two individuals, right? Ibn Makhluf and also Nasrul Minbiji. You would think, okay, you're walking into the courtroom, right? And it's going to be a fair trial. The one who's now going to pass the verdict is one of his opponents. To his shock, looks at him, thinking to himself, why is this guy now passing the verdict? You are one of my khusum, you are one of my opponents. Right? To cut a long story short, my brothers and my sisters, when they gave him the opportunity now to speak in front of the judge, he started off by saying, Inna alhamdulillahi nahmaduhu wa nasta'inuhu wa nastaghfiruh. And then the judge butts in and he says, listen, hurry up. He goes, Akhi, can I not praise Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? He said to him, hurry up, you've already praised Allah azza wa jal. Right? This is not the khutbah that you're giving. Subhanallah. Knowing that he doesn't stand a chance against Ibn Taimiyah rahmatullahi alayhi. Right? He just passed the verdict very, very quickly. And of course, this is extremely unfair. Right? He was then ordered to be taken to prison. And Ibn Taimiyah rahmatullahi alayhi was with his brother Sharafuddin. And he began to make dua against them. This was a very unfair, unjust trial, my brothers and my sisters, as you guys have come to know. Either speak with knowledge. This is why I always say to brothers, there's no need for us to get angry when we get into discussions. If you have the proofs and evidences, akhi, overpower him with your smile. Right? It's very, very immature that you get angry when you get into discussion. Very, very immature. If you have the hujjah, well, khalas. You've got the knowledge, right? This is what Ibn Taymiyah rahmatullahi alayhi was like. And now look at his opponent. Instead of being someone who's open to the truth, let me try and find the answer. He was stubborn, stuck on his ways, and they treat him in this manner. So now the brother Ibn Taymiyah rahmatullahi alayhi Sharafuddin began to make dua against them. Right? As they are walking out, Ibn Taymiyah says to him, don't do this. Don't make dua against them. Right? Don't curse them. But he said to him, بل قل, but rather say, اللهم هب لهم نورا يهتدون به إلى الحق. Oh Allah, grant them a light, a nur that leads them to the truth. Right? هب لهم نورا يهتدي به إلى الحق. And this is how we should be, my brothers and my sisters. Right? You have that option of making dua against them, which is allowed in our Sharia. لا يحب الله الجهر بالسوء من القول إلا من ظلم, as Allah Azza wa Jal mentions. However, that which is going to my brothers and my sisters lead you to the higher stations in the eyes of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is to be someone who is forgiving. When people speak about you, when they call you innovators, when they call you kuffar, right? Now we have that. Now we have an open chest, right? Maybe if we retaliated, they would go further away from the truth. But we have that care and concern that love for them to be guided. He might not accept from you there and then, but he might well be, because of the way that you treated him this time round, a couple of years down the line, you kept that door open. Maybe Allah Azza wa Jal will place some light in his heart. He never annihilated me, he never mistreated me, right? Even though I was so bad towards him, he was very nice to me. Second time round, my brothers and my sisters, this is in the year 726. I would love to mention so much more, but I don't have much time. In the year 726, and this is the 6th time that Ibn Taimiyah rahmatullahi alayhi was thrown into prison. The 6th and final time. And this was the longest time that he spent in prison. It lasted 2 years and 6 months. Right? He gave a fatwa, and they misconstrued this fatwa that he gave. They took it out of context, and they made him look like as if he's belittling the prophets and the righteous people. What was this fatwa that he gave? He was asked, right? When somebody now wants to go and visit the Prophet ﷺ's grave, what should his intentions be, or what are the correct adab, the etiquettes of visiting Prophet ﷺ's masjid and also his grave where he's buried? All he was saying was that you make the intention of visiting the masjid, and once you're there you can go and visit the Prophet ﷺ's right, grave as well. Is there anything wrong with visiting it? Of course not. When we go there, we go and visit the Messenger ﷺ and we give our salutations and our salams. All he was saying was, don't leave wherever you live or wherever you reside with the intention of visiting the grave. No, with the intention of going to the masjid, and then you also visit the grave. You can see the difference? Right? Setting out on a journey to go and do that. And of course, again, Ibn Taymiyah rahmatullahi alayhi wasn't bringing his own views and his own positions. He was someone that would always try to find the right answer. We don't believe that he's infallible or that he's free of mistake, but one thing we can testify is that he always tried his utmost best, and at times he erred. So what happened was, he based this off a hadith that he came across. Right, when the Messenger ﷺ said, لا تشد الرحال إلا إلى ثلاثة مساجد. One should not set out on a journey, right, to wherever it may be, with the intention of worshipping Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, yani believing that that place that I'm going to has some sort of virtue assigned to it. Is it okay to go to Pakistan guys? Can I travel to Pakistan? I'm in a Pakistani masjid, right? Is it haram to go to Pakistan? Of course not. However, in Pakistan, one city in Pakistan, Karachi, is that a city? Or Zindabad? Zindabad, right? There is a place there that has all of these virtues. So I'm going to set out on a journey to visit a place that is so virtuous. Zindabad, right? First and foremost, who told you that place has so much virtue? This is what the Messenger ﷺ was prohibiting. To go to a place believing they have some sort of virtue and that you're getting closer to Allah Azza wa Jal with being in that place. Except the 3 places, which is Masjid al-Haram, Mecca, Medina, and also where? Masjid al-Aqsa. We believe about these places they have virtue. That place in within itself has virtue. That's why we set out with the intention of going there. However, we can't say that about any other place. So if you're going to now go to visit the Messenger ﷺ's grave and you want to, we say with the intention of visit the Messenger ﷺ's masjid, and then if you want to visit, go as well, give salams to the Messenger ﷺ. Ibn Umar radiallahu ta'ala anhuma would visit the Messenger ﷺ's grave whenever he was traveling and whenever he would come back from his travels. Right? So, also we have, subhanAllah, something that happened with Abu Hurairah. Did you know, my brothers and my sisters, that one time Abu Hurairah went to Jabal Tur, right? And then when he came back, he ran into a companion called Basra ibn Abi Basra al-Ghifari. And then he asked him, where did you come from? من أين أقبلت؟ فقال من الطور. I came back from Tor. He said, if I was to meet you before you left, or had I run into you before I left, right, then I wouldn't have allowed you to leave. And that is because I heard the Messenger ﷺ say, لا تعمل المطي إلا إلى ثلاثة مساجد. One should not set out to any area, any locality or place or region thinking that he has some virtue attached to it, believing that you're going to get closer to Allah Azza wa Jal by visiting that place, right? Except 3 places that we mentioned. So now, my brothers and my sisters, is Ibn Taymiyah rahmatullahi alayhi just bringing this out of his own back pocket? No. Even if you argue now that he was wrong, just let's just say for argument's sake, doesn't he have substance? Right? Is it just based out of desires? It was never like that. This is why it's important that you have a discussion with that individual. Just like, right, Basra, Ibn Abi Basra al-Ghifari did with Abu Hurairah. He didn't attack him straight away for doing so. He explained to him what he heard. Abu Hurairah radiallahu ta'ala anhu was humble, wasn't he? Is there anyone that narrated more hadith than Abu Hurairah radiallahu ta'ala anhu? Huh? Who's the one that narrated the most hadith? Abu Hurairah radiallahu ta'ala anhu. Even Hafiz al-Suyuti mentions, the great scholar of hadith, in his Alfiyah, وَالْمُكْثِرُونَ فِي رِوَايَةِ الْأَثَرِ أَبُو هُرَيْرَةِ لِبْنِ عُمَرٍ. The one who narrated the most hadith was Abu Hurairah, and then who? Abdullah ibn Umar radiallahu ta'ala anhu. Right? To cut a long story short, my brothers and my sisters, right? They misconstrued and they distorted his fatwa that he gave and made him look like as if he's an enemy to the prophets, an enemy to the righteous. He was thrown into prison, my brothers and my sisters. Right? He was thrown into prison. And this is where he spent his life, right? Or the remaining part of his life. And he was in this prison cell, my brothers and my sisters, where they took away his pens and his scrolls that he would write fatwa on. There were times before when he had the permission to write fatwa, people could even visit him, but this time round they took everything away from him. And Ibn Qayyim was with him, right, at this time. Having said all of that, my brothers and my sisters, all this trouble that I gave him, going back to that individual called Ibn Makhluf, who was actually a Maliki judge, right? Used to really go out his way to get Ibn Taymiyah rahmatullahi alayhi killed. It was him that gave the fatwa and said, "Uqtulu Ibn Taymiyah wa damahu fi unuqi." Kill him. And don't worry, I'm going to bear that responsibility. His blood is my responsibility. This man is ready to stand in front of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Right? He's ready to stand in front of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to justify him wanting to get Ibn Taymiyah rahmatullahi alayhi killed. And at the time, my brothers and my sisters, the one in charge was someone called Baybaris al-Jashinkir, right? And Ibn Makhluf was very, very close to him. So he would use his political relations now to get Ibn Taymiyah into a lot of trouble, moving him from one place to another, alongside, of course, Nasr al-Manbiji. However, there was a lot of political issues between Jashinkir and also the ruler who came before him, called Nasr Muhammad. Right? Nasr Muhammad was in charge before him, however he was stripped of his governance, and then Jashinkir came into power, and then later on, my brothers and my sisters, the table will turn again. And then Nasr Muhammad, my brothers and my sisters, he used this now as an opportunity to get revenge. He used this as an opportunity to get revenge from whom? Jashinkir and anyone who used to align with him. So he brought Ibn Taymiyah rahmatullahi alayhi, right? And he said, all of these people, they would give out fatwa to get you killed. Give me a fatwa now to get them killed as well. Ibn Taymiyah rahmatullahi alayhi would refuse. Right? He's in a place of what? Authority now. Right? He's in a place of authority. He can get revenge. Right? However, my brothers and my sisters, he chose not to. Are you brothers and sisters with me? He chose to forgive and forget. Another time as well, Al-Adhra'i, one of his other opponents, the ruler wanted to shave his beard. This enemy of Ibn Taymiyah rahmatullahi alayhi, who was giving him a very, very hard time. However, Ibn Taymiyah rahmatullahi alayhi said, no, don't shave his beard. This is not something that is allowed. This is what they would do to humiliate others. Right? To conclude, my brothers and my sisters, there's so much that could be mentioned. Right? So much that could be mentioned with regards to how Ibn Taymiyah rahmatullahi alayhi dealt with his enemies. Some of his own brothers, they would say, وَدِدْتُ أَنِّي لِأَصْحَابِي كَمَا أَنَّ ابْنَ تَيْمِيَةَ لِأَعْدَائِهِ. I wish I could treat my friends the same way Ibn Taymiyah treated whom? Meaning he would treat them so well. Right? That they would wish they could just treat their friends like that. Are you brothers and sisters with me? This is Ibn Taymiyah rahmatullahi alayhi in a nutshell for you, my brothers and my sisters. Some books that I could advise you maybe to go back to. If you really want to know what the scholars thought of Ibn Taymiyah, and I'm not just speaking about the scholars that agreed with him, right? There were scholars that disagreed with him. This book called Ar-Radd al-Wafir by Ibn Nasir al-Din al-Dimishqi. The reason why he authored this book was because there was a sheikh in his time who referred to Ibn Taymiyah rahmatullahi alayhi as an innovator. Al-Ala al-Bukhari. However, that was because of the things that people said to him about Ibn Taymiyah, and he just took it, ran with it. Right? And he would say on the minbar, anyone who calls Ibn Taymiyah Shaykh al-Islam, then he's an innovator. Later on he said, anyone who says that he's a kafir. That's the level that he went to. So Ibn Nasr al-Din al-Dimishqi collected this book that had scholars from the Ahnaf, the Hanafiyah, the Shafi'iyah, the Malikiyah, and also the Hanabila, who all referred to him as Shaykh al-Islam Ibn Taymiyah rahmatullahi alayhi. Last thing that I want to mention was Ibn Taymiyah rahmatullahi alayhi against the four madhahib? No, he wasn't. In fact, he loved them. He would quote them all the time, and Majmu' al-Fatawa is filled with that. How many a time would he quote Ibn Taymiyah? Imam Ahmad, Imam Shafi'i, Al-Imam Abu Hanifa, Al-Imam Malik, and he would say so many good things about them. وَهَذَا الَّذِي نَعْتَقِدُهُ. And this is what we believe, that they should be requested, they should be respected and honored. Right? May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala bless every single one of you guys. Again, I just want to thank the administration of the masjid, spearheaded by our Ustadh Hudayfa. I told every one of them to come and learn Quran from you, right? And how it is unacceptable that only 5 people are coming to the class. You know, you guys have someone who got ijazah from the Imam of the Masjid of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Don't waste this opportunity, my brothers and my sisters. We are people that follow the Quran and the Sunnah, right? And the Salaf, the 3 golden generations, the Sahaba, Tabi'in, wa Atba'u Tabi'in, they used to give a lot of importance to memorizing the Quran, acting upon the Quran, and learning it. Right? May Allah Azza wa Jal bless you all. Jazakumullah khairan. Wa ahsanu Allah ilaykum. Subhanallah bihamdik. Ashhadu an la ilaha illa anta astaghfiruka wa atubu ilayk. I learned a bit of Quran from him as well, right, from back in the day. He actually inspired me, my brothers and my sisters, to get an ijazah. Right?